Hi, I'm going to show you how to do an upright newborn carry in a pouch sling. This is going to be a legs out carry that's going to be centered on my torso. I'm going to keep my baby upright rather than in a cradle position. This is the pouch sling. It's a loop of fabric with no closures. The first thing you're going to want to do is to fold your pouch in half like this to make a pocket for the baby to sit. And the next thing you want to do is find the seam of your pouch, because that's where you want your baby's bottom to go. So I want that to be in the front as I put my pouch on over one shoulder. Now, the tricky thing about pouches, especially with a newborn, is that they really need to be sized correctly in order to provide enough support. A newborn needs to have lots of support, especially through the upper spine, to make sure that the airway stays open, the chin stays off the chest. So I'm going to need to do some tweaking afterwards because this is not quite snug enough, but I can show you some tweaks that will make it work. So I'm going to reach inside the pouch with this hand and I'm going to kind of fold apart that pocket. So it's still double layer almost everywhere except in the pocket, but I still have a seat where my baby can sit. And I'm going to keep this top rail nice and high because that's going to help me tweak it to make it fit for him. And I'm going to grab my baby. He is 2 weeks old today, or tomorrow, 2 weeks old tomorrow. So he's still definitely a newborn. He is sleepy, so hopefully he'll cooperate. I'm going to put him high on one shoulder, reach to the bottom of the pouch, and guide his feet all the way through. Now, I don't want him to go straight through the pouch. I want him to land in the pocket that we've created. So I'm going to find the top rail, and with my outside hand, I'm going to pull that up and over him while my inside hand is holding onto him. And then I'm going to try to pop these teeny little feet through. I need a little bit more support as I'm pulling him down, so my hand's going to go back inside. And I'm going to make sure I have hands on him the whole time. I've got one stubborn little foot that doesn't want to come through. Okay, so I don't want to force him out of his tuck. I just want to make sure that his legs and hips end up in a comfortable position. I also want to make sure that this little arm goes in because he definitely needs the support of being arms in at this stage. So while I lean back and try to give him a pacifier so maybe he settles a little bit, while I lean back so that he kind of stays against me, I can start working on making this pouch fit for him. So the first thing I'm going to do right now is to just kind of make sure that he's got enough of a seat. So I'm going to grab this bottom rail and I'm going to make sure that I've tucked enough of a pocket up between us, between his legs, to anchor his legs and hips. The next thing I'm going to do, and I lean forward to do this because I really want him to be pressed against me tightly. The next thing I'm going to do is lean forward a little bit and make sure that his spine is nice and straight with no slumping so that he starts in the position where I want him to end up. So now these next couple things will tweak this pouch a little bit so that he has enough support. As you can see right now, there's nowhere near enough support for him at the top of his spine. The pouch is way too loose. So these next things I'm going to do are going to try to snug this up so that he has enough support. So the first thing you can do with a newborn or a pouch that's a little bit too big is called the shoulder flip. So I'm going to take this top rail and I'm going to pull it up nice and high and then fold it back right over my shoulder. So it's the inside of the fabric that you can see on top of my shoulder now. It's a different color, but it's a little dark, so it's hard to see. And then with a newborn, to take up the slack, I'm going to continue that fold all the way across his shoulders. Because in a minute, I'm going to show you a tweak to keep that up. Yes, I know. Okay. So now I've got this folded over my shoulder, which definitely helped take in a lot of the slack. But if I let go, he could still slump down a little bit too much. He's in there pretty securely, but he could fall away from me if I were to lean forward. So this next thing that I'm going to do will hopefully help take up the rest of this slack and make it a safe carry. I'm going to take a burp rag, and this is a fairly thick one because I need a little bit of a boost. And I'm going to go ahead and roll it right in that top rail. So now that burp rag helped to take up a lot of that extra slack and make sure that he has support behind his upper spine, which will help keep that airway open. Okay, so now that I feel like I can bend forward, he's not going to fall away from me. He doesn't have quite as much head support. If I wanted to, I could pull this up a little bit more along his head, but at least his upper spine is supported and his chin is up nice and high, so he's a good airway. I'm going to take one look at these little hips, and I'm just going to make sure that he's not forced out of his normal newborn tuck. So I usually reach in a little bit. I kind of rotate those knees back together if they've spread a little too wide. I make sure by tucking up underneath me that we didn't lose that seat and his feet are free. So you can see now he's got a nice open airway. I can look down and see his whole face. We've used the burp rag and the shoulder flip to take up a lot of that extra slack. And now this is a nice secure carry with a newborn. You can see that he's got a straight upper spine and a curved lower spine, which is what you're looking for to make sure that he has an open airway and a safe carry. This is a newborn, a 2-week-old newborn in a pouch.